Hey guys, it's Nikki
and Janset, and today we're discussing our favorite go-to coffee shops in New York City.
Janset and I are big fans of coffee, and whenever we go to New York, we're always looking for a coffee shop to start the day off right.
I think that the top three things that we look for in a good coffee shop are the quality of the coffee, the aesthetics, and of course the price. New York can sometimes be so expensive, especially when it comes to food and drinks, and as high school students, we are not trying to pay over $8 for a cup of coffee.
It usually depends on where we're going in New York, but the night before our trip, we always look around the area to see if there's any coffee shops or any famous local places.
And honestly, sometimes it's so spontaneous that we'll just walk into a random coffee shop and it ends up becoming our favorite go-to spot.
One time, when we walked into a random coffee shop, it kind of backfired on us though. It was so packed because apparently it was popular on TikTok at the time.
This does happen quite a lot in large cities like New York, where if a famous creator posts a coffee shop on their social media platform, it can go viral so quickly, and to our luck, we were a victim of this.
Some of the factors we look for in a good coffee shop are the sitting areas, the environment it's located in, the Wi-Fi, the public bathrooms, and the reviews.
Blank Street Coffee is a good example of this. We love Blank Street so much because of the location. It is such a large company that they have stores pretty much all over New York, and wherever we are and that we're craving a good coffee, we can always rely on Blank Street Coffee. I think that the quality of coffee is really good. It is a little pricey, but if I want to splurge, I'm definitely relying on Blank Street Coffee.
Honestly, I feel like when we walk in New York, we see so many, it's actually insane.
Blank Street Coffee doesn't have a lot of sitting areas or a public bathroom because most of the stores are such small locations, but it's definitely a good store to try out if you're new to the area. I think why I love Blank Street Coffee so much is that they make my ideal coffee order the perfect way. When I think of a iced latte with oat milk and caramel, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Blank Street iced coffee.
I do like Blank Street's coffee. It's kind of strong for me, but Starbucks makes my ideal coffee order, which is a iced chai with pumpkin cold foam. One thing about Starbucks that doesn't even have to be related to New York is that there are usually so many of them in one area.
And I think what we can all agree on is that Starbucks is so ideal because they all have public bathrooms, seating, and free Wi-Fi. My only complaint about Starbucks is the prices, of course. Sometimes I walk into a Starbucks, pay about $9 for a venti iced coffee, and I think that there are definitely more coffee shops that are cheaper and have better quality coffee.
I think just because it's New York, they do kind of upcharge a little bit compared to New Jersey. I feel like they maybe add on like $1 or $2.
I think that a lot of coffee shops do the same thing where they upcharge their prices if they're located in a rich part of town, and Gregory's Coffee is a really good example of this. Gregory's Coffee just screams bougie to me. Whenever I walk into the coffee shop, the aesthetics and the seating areas are always so clean and give off the clean girl aesthetic.
Actually, funny story about Gregory's. The first time we did try it was not in New York. It was in Hoboken, New Jersey, and the prices are very expensive. I think each thing is around like $10. It's very, very expensive.
However, I can't complain because Gregory's is such a study spot, and the aesthetics and the free Wi-Fi and the public bathrooms just make it all worth it.
The flooring is so pretty. It's like a black and white checkered floor in every location, and I think it's beautiful. I personally think Gregory's coffee is kind of strong. You kind of have to ask them to put in sugar or some kind of sweetener, even if your drink is already sweet, because usually it turns out kind of bitter.
I actually disagree. I think that Gregory's coffee is perfect for me. I'm not the person to drink super sweet coffee, and even though I get caramel in my iced coffees, usually Gregory's coffee just feels and tastes very rich to me.
I think coffee kind of reminds me of Blank Street Coffee. I feel like they're kind of always located next to each other in a way.
I think that Think Coffee is really good on their bakery. I feel like it can be considered as a breakfast spot too. Their muffins, croissants, and all of their baked goods just taste like they're from an actual restaurant and not a coffee shop.
I think Coffee is relatively big compared to the other stores we're talking about. They have a nice cafe area and a nice sitting area, and don't forget about the public bathrooms.
I think that you can find the most Think Coffees in Soho. There's about one in every corner, and they're super popular for their public bathrooms and their incredibly large amount of seating areas.
And for the price of Think Coffee, I really don't think it's that bad. It's honestly kind of cheaper compared to the other ones we're talking about. And Think Coffee usually has relatively the same price for each thing.
We're going to move on to one of our favorite restaurants now. Although it's not an ideal coffee shop, we love their coffee so much, I think that it's worth adding onto our list.
Maman is a French restaurant and cafe that's famous for its aesthetics. I think it's actually beautiful in there.
The first time that Nikki and I went to visit this cafe, it was actually very spontaneous. We were supposed to be eating pancakes at this famous restaurant. Turns out it was closed. So we headed over to Maman and we just both got sandwiches and a coffee, and we were shocked.
This is just a little life tip for our listeners. Always make sure the place that you're going to is open, because we went on a Sunday and it was clearly not open.
We fell into the TikTok trap, looked at a famous video, and didn't even check if the store was open before heading to New York.
Clearly, we were too excited to try it.
Luckily, we had Maman right around the corner that served us an amazing selection of coffee and sandwiches.
Honestly, I don't splurge on coffee because I feel like there's no point. But when I tell you I would spend $1 million on this coffee, I'm not joking. I got this lavender coffee, and I'm not sure if the milk was lavender or they used some kind of syrup, but oh my god, it was delicious.
And I got a caramel iced latte, which ended up coming in a large mason glass with whipped cream and caramel sauce. I'm not the biggest fan of whipped cream, but I enjoyed the coffee so much, and I would definitely splurge on coffee.
I feel like when we first initially saw it, we kind of just stared at each other and laughed in a way. We weren't expecting the presentation it came in.
I think that a huge factor is the aesthetics of the cafe. It definitely adds to the experience that you're getting.
I think one of the factors that also helped was the presentation on how our food and coffee was served to us. I know this is about coffee, but our food was served on china plates, and I think it was beautiful.
And as our last coffee spot, I think that we can't miss out on Angelina's Bakery. Nikki and I first discovered this bakery when we went to Central Park in the summer. On our walk back, we were starving and we really wanted a cold, refreshing drink, and we stopped into Angelina's Bakery.
Honestly, we were kind of intimidated to go in because we thought it was going to be super expensive.
It was in the middle of Times Square and it just looked too bougie, but to our surprise, it was not that expensive at all.
Our coffee orders were identical because we both got oat milk coffee. I ordered a focaccia sandwich and Janset ordered a Nutella donut. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of stole a piece of her donut and it was pretty good.
I think that it is a really good spot for a donut. Although their donuts are a little bit expensive, the coffees were about $5 each. And I think that that's a really good price for a coffee shop that's located in the heart of New York City.
And honestly, the area is decorated so well. There's kind of bikes outside and the sitting areas are so good. But I wouldn't really count on there being Wi-Fi. And there's not really any sitting areas inside. One thing about this place is that the staff is so friendly. We kind of joke about this till this day, but this lady came out and asked us how we were enjoying our food, and we thought she was the owner of the bakery. We still don't know to this day who that lady was.
I think she was Angelina.
Angelina, you were a very sweet lady if that was actually you. You should definitely name a donut after us or a coffee.
I think that concludes our top coffee shop lists in New York City. This is Janset
and Nikki signing off. See you later.